The bright lights, obviously Elon Musk keeping free speech open. These leaders of countries like Viktor Orban and the Italian Prime Minister. We've got this new president of Argentina, Javier Milei, if I've pronounced his name wrong, probably not. The counterattack on these people and the demonisation of them is quite intense, isn't it? So as soon as our side begins to have some leadership which pushes back, the counterattack comes quite ferociously. How should we think about that when we see these heroes being demonised in the mainstream media?
Well, number one, I think that there is often an impulse, especially with Christians, to desire a sort of Christ-like savior figure to come, a Messiah-like figure to come and save us from these ills. That's not going to happen. So I think the number one thing that people need to understand is that when we have leaders that stand up on our side, they may not be perfect. They may have big, big flaws. But if they advance our policy issues, we should be able to stand up and say they're doing a great job. So, for example, Donald Trump, even though he was far from perfect, and we were quite willing to call him out on this and say, well, this was a mistake or that was a mistake. At the same time, we were very clear in congratulating and being happy when, for example, the Supreme Court justices that were appointed were clearly people that would interpret and not make up the law. And we knew if we got that, we had a good shot at overturning Roe. That has happened. We should be ecstatic. I mean, many of us never thought that would happen in our lifetime. Now, of course, there's been problems since then. There were always going to be problems. Our country had gotten accustomed to the idea that a baby, if inconvenient, can just be done away with. Any culture that gets accustomed to some lie like that, things are going to be difficult. We have to, I think, on one level, lower our expectations. And I hate to say this, but in the sense of you're not going to get perfection. We want someone who is holy. We want someone who is godly. But the fundamental reality is that you don't always get everything you want. And we need to be willing to defend those people when the absolutely insane, I have to say it, attacks come. I mean, it is insane how now we're at the point where there are not only media attacks, but legal attacks on people who stand up for life and truth. So you brought up Viktor Orban. Orban's perfect. You wrote, again, we've discussed this. I mean, years ago, people were saying he's a fascist, trying to shut down. And you say anything nice about Orban, you get attacked. Again, I do think that someone like Elon Musk meeting with Katalin Novak, being willing to be really fair in dealing with the great family policies coming out of Hungary, that's what we need. So we must defend those that stand for our policies. We must defend their actions, even if it's uncomfortable, even if there are other things that we may disagree with. I think that that's something that we've got to do, and we've got to do it quickly.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Katalin Novak was recently here in Australia speaking at a wonderful Catholic institution, Liberal Arts College, Campion College, and doing other events. We're obviously disappointed to see her depart the office of President of Hungary. Was she unfairly treated in your view? Do you have some insights you can share with us on why she is now no longer the president?
I think it was a very tough situation. When you're the head of state and you make a decision for a pardon, you may not always have all of the facts. There were some pardons Trump did, or you may have the facts, but later on something more could come out that could show that this person had done even worse things than you knew. This is just the fundamental reality, and this is why pardons are exceptions and not rules. So I would just say that I think that it's a bad situation, but I think that President Novak handled it very, very well in being willing to step down if it was seen as something that was taking away from the government and administration. I believe she really handled it like a true leader. So I don't know the details of the background to how the decision was made, all of that. All I know is that, there was a pardon, there was widespread backlash on that pardon, and she was President Novak was quite willing to step down rather than to take away from the Orban administration.